Welcome to the Four Brewers podcast. My name is John Holzer, and as always, I am joined by
Jason Harris,
Tim Mather,
and we are joined once again by our good friend Joe Senegalia from Jow's Arcade on the YouTubes out of San Diego. How you doing, Joe?
What's up, dudes? Thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it.
No, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it, especially since Greg can't make it. Little update on Greg. We talked to him in our private chat the other day, and he's still recovering. Apparently, he's going to talk to his doctor to see if there's some kind of medication he can get on to help out with his gout situation. I don't think he's had any alcohol for, I don't know, a month and a half, and he's lost 15 pounds. So there you go. It sounds like, except for the gout thing, it sounds like Greg's doing great. So yeah, Joe's luckily filling in for Greg in his absence, and that is awesome. This week we're drinking beers from Pizza Port Brewing Company out of San Diego, California. A little pizza restaurant that was started in 1987 by Gina and Vince Marsaglia. That has evolved into one of the most award-winning breweries in the craft beer industry, which is kind of amazing. We all got different selections. I think there's a few, maybe two that we have in common with one another. Funnily enough, you can only buy these beers at the places we went to in 6-packs, which is awesome. Like they sell 6-packs of 16-ounce beers, which I love because for the price point, it's like you get 2 extra beers for the price that another brewery would charge for a 4-pack of 16-ounce cans. Problem is, Joe and Tim didn't want to have to buy 24 cans of beer to do one show. So Jason and I bought all the beers, and then I just met up with Joe this morning to bring him his beers, which, yeah, that was an adventure in and of itself. So, funnily enough, we don't have round trip. Yeah, exactly. I had to go to 2 different liquor stores, and neither liquor store had Swamis, which, I mean, we're doing a show on Pizza Port, and only Jason, I think. Tim, do you have Swamis? Yeah, Tim has Swamis as well.
I do have Swamis. I managed to, I stopped by a Total Wine and raided the singles section. It had pretty much everything.
I don't think my Total Wine has a singles section. That's funny.
I feel like that's one of the things that they're known for. They've got like almost like an aisle and a half.
Are you thinking Bevmo, John?
Yeah.
Because the only Total Wine around here is.
Oh, yes. I am thinking Bevmo. You're right. Yeah.
Their singles section is far less superior.
Yeah, Bevmo's trash. And also, coincidentally, is across the street from Total Wine. The closest Bevmo to me is across the street from Total Wine. Nice. Which is twice the size and better in every way. So
yeah, for sure.
Like, why would I ever go? Like, I don't understand how it's still in business.
Yeah, Total Wine was a sponsor of New Beer Thursday for many years. Like, they actually gave us money to be on the show, and we gladly took it because Total Wine, as far as big box alcohol stores are concerned, is definitely one of the best. So, and they actually care about their beer program, where I'm sure Bevmo does to a certain extent, but they're not as geeky about it, I think, as Total Wine is.
And Total Wine still doesn't make it a priority, which we complain about a lot. But
right,
they're still wine focused. You sign up for their emails and you're like, I'm only interested in beer. They're like, we got some wine coupons for you. I'm like, I still only want beer. They're like, wine coupons?
Yeah.
Right? Beer.
Anyway, so Joe and I are starting off with Ponto. This is a single IPA. They call it an SIPA. And Jason has a chronic, and Tim is just holding the fort down until we get to something that we all have. So,
Ponto S, doesn't the S stand for sessionable, or is it single?
Oh, it's probably session. Yeah.
Session
I don't know what I was thinking by single, but yeah, session.
Because
it's a low alcohol IPA. Yeah.
Yeah, we're hashtag Team Low ABV.
And I have appropriate glassware. My Pizza Port, it's a tap pint from Pizza Port Carlsbad. They do like a Star Wars Day every year.
I get it.
Or sorry, not Carlsbad, from San Clemente. But yeah, they do a whole Star Wars takeover. They put Star Wars movies on the TV and do like all Star Wars themed beers and stuff. It's fun.
That's awesome. I did not know about that. That'll get me back there for sure.
Do they do that every year?
Yeah.
I mean,
I want to say
maybe
it's
not this
around
year.
May the 4th, but yeah. Not now that everything sucks.
Yeah, that I would say like that's one of the big things that I really like about Pizza Port. I've been to 2 of their locations. I think I've been to Solano Beach and Carlsbad, and I before this I knew them as just being like, oh, they have these great beers, and then I finally went to one of the locations. I'm like, holy shit, they've got great beers and amazing pizza.
Yeah, their pizza's super good.
It's so good.
Yeah, Pizza Port has like I think 5 locations total. They have, let's see, the original in Solana Beach, and then in '97 they opened Carlsbad. In 2003 they opened San Clemente. In 2008 they opened a bottle shop next to Carlsbad. And let's see, number 4 was Ocean Beach that opened in 2010, and then location number 5 is their production brewery out of Bressy Ranch, which I've only been to. Let's see, I've been to Carlsbad. Bressy Ranch for sure. That's the last one I went to. And I think it's just Carlsbad and Bressy Ranch that I've been to, now that I think about it.
I've been to all of them. Solana's really small. Comparatively, it's like half the size of any of the other ones. Carlsbad's probably my favorite, but that's probably because it's the first one I really got into as well. But then San Clemente's the closest to here, and also they tend to do really well. San Clemente's won medals in IPA a bunch of times.
Yeah, I have been to San Clemente because that's where the Full Pint had their anniversary a couple years ago, and I went there with John Righty. So I have been to San Clemente. Yeah,
is Carlsbad the one it's got a really high ceiling, and then there's like an outside balcony off to one side? Okay, yeah, I've been. That's the one.
And Joe, you're closest to Carlsbad, correct? Is this?
Well, Bressy Ranch is actually right around the corner from my office.
Oh, okay.
So that's the one that I've been to probably the most. But Carlsbad is, I mean, they're both the same.
Bressy's so weird because most of the locations are very beach centric. They're in like beach community areas.
Yeah.
And then Bressy's not. It's like their production brewery. So it's just in an industrial park. But then when you get in it, it still feels like you're at a beach. Like it's like beachy inside, but you're just still in an industrial park. It's fun.
For me, I remember San Clemente. I mean, out of the ones I've been to, San Clemente for me has that most beach vibe because you're so close to the beach. Like, and it's like you feel like you're in a small town coastal area, which you are. I mean, it's that area of town is not that big, and it's really cool. And yeah, when I went to Bressy Ranch, like you go inside and like it's just transformed. Like they did a really good job with making you feel like you're not sitting in an industrial park, not by just they have picnic tables and stuff in there, but like the whole decoration and the way the kitchen's set up and everything. It looks really cool. It's really kind of comfortable to hang out there.
Question in the chat was if they had vegan options, and I don't know, but I feel you guys might.
Their pizza crust is vegan, so all you have to do is order it with no cheese. So like when we go, we get the Ocean Beach and we get it with no cheese and no bacon. It's got like butternut squash and stuff on it. It's freaking delicious.
My personal favorite pizza is the Carlsbad, which is a pesto sauce with artichoke hearts and sun-dried tomatoes.
That sounds awful. I hate pesto sauce.
What?
Oh man!
Oh my god! What?
Dude, I'm in the
Smokes.
minority. I know. I do not like pestos. Yvonne, she makes really good pesto. Like I know what good pesto is, and she's really good at making it. And I'm just like, nope, not for me. Yeah,
I have a shirt that says "Pesto is the best." I'm gonna have to wear it next time I see you.
Oh, I need that. So, Jason, you've got Chronic, right?
Yes.
So I remember when getting into beer and discovering Pizza Port and being like, how scandalous! Look at this Chronic beer. And now we have beers that are just straight up infused with weed. So it's like,
I believe in the olden times they actually put like hemp seed into it just to be part of the gimmick, but I don't believe they do anymore.
What's the name Chronic mean? I guess I should have looked this up before I started the show.
Well, it's the name of the greatest hip hop album of all time.
I would agree with you on that. Yeah, I'm a fan.
So a fun story that I've probably told on the show, but I'll tell again, is when I was very first getting into homebrewing, Pizza Port was one of my favorite spots. And I just emailed their like contact us website or whatever. And I'm like, I really like Chronic. Can you help me brew it? And got an email back from Jeff Bagby, who was at Carlsbad at the time. Because I think it was called the Carlsbad Chronic for a while, or before they started canning it. And he was like, yeah, here's pretty much the recipe. Like, I don't have it in homebrew proportions, but here it is in percentages. And
that's really cool.
Yeah, still have it back in 2010.
Yeah, it says on their web.
It's just cool that Jeff Bagby's just like, oh yeah, here's the recipe. Cool.
Yeah, it says it's on their website, historically brewed with hemp seeds, and it's their most popular beer at all of their pub locations because it goes well with pizza.
I'm sure between the fact that it goes well with pizza and it's delicious, and people are like, Chronic.
It's only 4.9% too. That's didn't know that.
Yeah, it's super drinkable. It's got a rich flavor. It's kind of, I feel like it's kind of like what Fat Tire's going for, but it comes off a little bit less metallic. Just a little bit, it's a little bit rich. It's got a good multi character, but super drinkable. It's definitely like a drink a liter beer.
Yeah, the beer that Joe and I are drinking, Ponto. Now that I'm on their website, I'm looking into the names of these beers because I think they do really good with their names, like referencing things. And Ponto is a reference to the southernmost beach and surf break in Carlsbad. So
does it say the hops in this beer, John?
It doesn't say the hop. Oh yeah, Crystal, Citra, Raquel, Motueka, Waimea, and Southern Cross. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of hops.
That is.
It's a lot of
more of like an old school beer.
It's a lot of New Zealand hops too.
Yeah, American and New Zealand hops. Yeah.
I just wondered because it doesn't come off as like super fruity to me.
Yeah, it comes off kind of dank on the nose to me. I mean, more like grassy and like weed-like, I think, than fruity.
And I mean, it's only 4.5%, so it's super mellow. But they do kind of get after it with the bitterness for being this low of a alcohol beer.
Yeah,
and you can definitely tell this is like a West Coast style beer. But I just wondered the hop because it doesn't seem fruity.
I think for the body on session IPAs, that's always a thing that a lot of breweries struggle with. This one I think is right at a spot where it's at a breaking point where it could be a little too thin. Mm-hmm. But again, it's 4.5%, and that's a really fine line to walk between watery and like over sweet from having too many fermentables left over. So and you don't want it to finish super dry either, because then that just adds to that perceived wateriness, and it does finish dry, but again, it's Pizza Port. They know what they're doing, so it's a really tasty beer. And apparently this beer is a favorite among the disc golf community. So there you go.
When I moved back to San Diego and I was golfing, not quite a bit, but this beer was always in my golf bag when we would go. It was just one of those beers like you can drink for a couple hours and not be hammered.
It's also $10 for 6 tall cans.
Yeah.
So that's a deal, man.
Yeah, it's $10.99.
Again, and the it's 2 extra cans, but you're paying that, for some craft breweries are charging that for like a 4-pack of 16-ounce cans. So Pizza Port beers are really
way more than
value.
That for a 4-pack. Like, it's not uncommon to see a $20 4-pack for IPA, especially.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Well, yeah, you look at someone like Monkish, you're getting into like the $24 range for a 4-pack when they do their releases. It's crazy.
Again, those are different beers, and there's a lot more going into those beers at a smaller scale, so I can see why they're more expensive. Pizza Port's a pretty big brewery considering, comparing them to like Monkish, I think. So
I was going to ask you. Oh, go ahead.
I feel like Monkish could charge $40 a 6-pack and they would still sell out, right? Like,
yeah, they would, of course.
What were we going to say, Joe?
Oh, I was going to ask you. I mean, I'm not a brewer, obviously, but it seems to me the Bressie Ranch location, that brewery seems massive. The actual brew house is that a big scale brewery? Like, as far as
I don't know how big their brew house is, but it's definitely on the big side. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, when you went in, you can see through into where the brewery is. It's just, it seems like it's huge.
Yeah, no, it's not like I mean, it's definitely built for production, and they that when they announced they were going to start canning beers like that, they didn't mess around. They did the right thing and opened a huge production facility. So again, I don't have details on it, but yeah.
Something that may confuse people is that there is also port brewing.
Yeah, that confused me before. I was
looks similar. Go ahead, Tim.
I was just say that did. I know in my head I know the difference, but even when I go and I look, I'm like, oh, there's port. Oh wait, no, that's not pizza port.
I believe the ownership is still related, but the beers that are made by Port Brewing are brewed at Lost Abbey.
Yeah.
I believe the owners of Pizza Port are also the owners of Port Lost Abbey, but Tommy Arthur is involved in an ownership aspect, I believe, to some point at Port. And Port is basically Tommy Arthur's place to basically do whatever he wants, Port and Lost Abbey. So the brands, though, like when Pizza Port said they were going to start canning however many years ago, I thought there was going to be brand confusion because it's like Port Brewing, Pizza Port. And now it's, at least for me, I mean, I'm a seasoned beer geek and I can tell the difference between Port and Pizza Port, but there's a clear distinction both in terms of like the branding for the cans and whatnot and the beers themselves. Like they definitely stand on their own as far as the branding goes, and I think it worked out well for both Port and Pizza Port. But
yeah, Port Brewing has the flip flops on all their cans.
Yeah, and they have like the cool flip flop tap handles too that are fucking dope.
Yeah, they went with a very different style. Now that they're packaging, I think it's a little bit easier to tell. When they were bottling before, the Port Brewing logo literally was just like the Pizza Port logo with the word pizza taken out. So it was like, wait, is this the brewery?
Yeah, I mean,
and that was because Tommy Arthur brewed at Solana Beach for a while, and then it looks like worked with the ownership of Pizza Port to break out and start his own brewery. So they brew all their non-Belgian stuff is brewed under the Port brand.
And Port Lost Abbey is in Stone's original facility when they first opened up. Fun fact. So
I was gonna say,
he was right down the street from Stone.
Tommy was known wasn't he like a just ridiculously good saison guy at Pizza Port? Like wasn't it like his SPF beers back in the day? Like aren't those the beers that everyone kind of went nuts over?
Yeah, they were for sure.
And I mean, Lost Abbey does a lot of that, right? That's kind of what he's doing over there.
Yeah, saisons, Belgian style beers, barrel aged stuff, sours, wild ales. Yeah. Dr. Bill would be the guy to talk to about Pizza Port and Lost Abbey and Port. Kind of a missed opportunity not having him on the show, but anyway, this beer's delicious. And what are we going to move on to?
Well, I cracked open Swamis while you guys were talking.
What are we drinking, John?
Okay, so they have Swamis, and what do we have that they don't have?
We have permanent vacay. That's a 7. Isn't Swami 6.8?
I think we all have permanent vacay.
Oh, do we?
And then
we have Beach Retreat, and Tim has that too, right?
Yeah.
Well, shit.
I don't.
It's fine. I'll save Beach Retreat for later and keep the other two.
Okay, so
I'll do Swamis. I'll do Swamis with Jason now, and then I'll just keep Beach Retreat for myself.
And then me and Joe will do Beach Retreat. Beach Retreat, yeah.
You can let me know how it is, because the Beachwood collab sounds great.
I actually did a video on it, Tim, if you want to watch it.
Oh, well, maybe I will, because I love your beautiful face.
I'm excited for this collab. I love Beachwood.
So we managed to get Swamis back in the show. And it wasn't even my design. I don't believe that I suggested the Pizza Port party. Somebody did, but it wasn't me. I just enthusiastically agreed.
I don't remember anything after we
was it hour 3 of last week?
Like I had to go in our chat and I'm like, okay, so and Jason I think put a note in there for me for Pizza Port. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, it was Pizza Port. All right.
Jason, fun fact: Swami's is my favorite San Diego shelf beer of all time.
Yeah, it is the shit. Swami's has a pretty old school hop bill. Apparently they brewed it it was the first IPA brewed in Solana Beach. So they've been making this beer for over 20 years. They must have updated it because it's got Citra, and you can get Citra 20 years ago. So I'm sure the recipe has kind of changed with time. But right now it's running with Chinook, Columbus, Cascade, Centennial, Citra, and Simcoe. So very, very traditional, old school C hops recipe. And it's really dry. It's got a nice bitterness that you don't really get in beers anymore. Bitter has kind of gone out of fashion. I think the IBU wars of 10 years ago really kind of killed that for everybody, where everyone just... And honestly, this just reminds me of every old man rant where they're just like, but all the beers with the IBUs so high, they're stripping your teeth off. You're getting the enamel off your teeth. How do you drink those? Why don't you just make a nice mild?
Mild. Whatever happened to milds?
I haven't had a good mild in 41 years.
Yeah, when you mentioned dry on Swami's, like it's definitely that is a key there. You take a swig and like it's definitely leaving my mouth.
I mean, Swami's is I think the quintessential Southern California West Coast IPA. I think it just dominates across the board. Like it just defines what Southern California IPA is, I think. I think Stone IPA at one point was up there. They've since changed the recipe, and I'm not a big fan of it. But yeah, this beer itself is pretty legendary.
And especially a lot of the trailblazers in the category have kind of changed or faded away over time. Like Green Flash West Coast IPA, I don't even see that beer anymore. And they've changed the recipe like twice.
Green Flash was one of those category defining IPAs. Yeah, I agree. And
they decided to change it. They were like, all right, we've got the beer that literally defines West Coast IPA, but what if we changed it? And
see, you mentioned that, Swami's has Citra in it, and that's something that probably wasn't available 20 years ago or whatever, however long ago over 20 years ago. And I think tweaking recipes is one thing, but throwing the old one out and saying, okay, we're going to rebuild this recipe from the ground up. Why? Like, just because you're bored with it? Like, it's one thing to adapt and incorporate new hops and flavors, but it's a totally different thing to just throw it away and start over.
If I remember right, West Coast went from it changed by a whole point of alcohol by volume. It was a pretty significant change.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It went from 8% to 7% and then back or something like that. It was weird.
West Coast being the Green Flash.
Yeah. But yeah, Swami's just feels like it's a classic, just super drinkable. Again, it is bitter. It does have a bite. And honestly, probably the fact that I drink Swami's all the time is why I'm pretty desensitized to bitterness in beer.
I don't want it to be it's not an off-putting bite. It's not like a Stone gonna fuck your taste buds bite. It's just like a good classic IPA bite. At least for me.
Yeah, it kind of gives you that little hit on your palate where you're like, okay, yeah, it's something. I drink something with an impact, with a big flavor.
Yeah,
which I think is really it's really cool, and it's what I love about IPA, right? And it's what we lose, and we old beer man gripe about hazy IPAs all the time, right? But I think that's what you lose is the impact of the beer in the hazy category, where this beer just you drink it and it's like boom. That's a flavor that hits you right there. It's crisp. It's clear. It's really nice.
It depends on your perspective, though. If you said you're losing that impact, but for other people, maybe that's a positive that they're not getting that impact because they don't want that impact. And that's what hazy IPA is all about. It's meant to be more, more of the fruity aspects of IPA without the bitterness. And I don't know. I see where you're coming from, but I don't think it's a negative thing that hazy's quote unquote lost that bite.
Well, I mean,
it's definitely by design.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
sure. It's not unintentional. It just for me is why I don't prefer them, because I like having that bite, that impact.
Right.
Yeah. And it's Swami's to me too is just it's such a reminder to getting into beer And when we were starting Untapped and getting that going, and like I would go to Bevmo or Total Wine and just be like, oh my God, I don't really drink beer. I'm going to go through and get all these cool things because I'm just starting into it. And Swami's was always there. Like the label, I'm just like, oh yeah, the Swami's logo on there. Like it's complete nostalgia just for how long it's been around.
Yeah, nostalgia is a good way to put Swami's. Like, I agree with as far as the label goes too, and that branding on the Swami's label, even with like the beer that Joe and I have, the Beach Retreat, the collab they did with Beechwood Brewing out of Long Beach, it's reminiscent of Swami's, like the artwork and everything. Their branding is weird to me. It looks kind of it's like artistic, and someone definitely drew it, and like it was an inspired piece. Like, do this and draw this. And it has cohesiveness throughout all of their different beers, and but it's grown on me over time. Like I don't know.
Do they have a can that doesn't have a surfer on it?
I think
that's their whole thing, right?
I think Pizza Port's art feels very analog. Right,
Yeah.
It feels like something that somebody made with a pen and paper.
And the
sure.
same goes for like the Lost Abbey. Their labels are all like pieces of art that you can buy like on a canvas at the tasting room, and like there's a lot of thought put into them and a lot of love and care.
And I think Swami's the beer. I didn't actually know this offhand, so if you would ask me, I wouldn't have known it before I read it. But it's named after a famous surf break, like an area with a good wave break. They call Swami's, and they call it Swami's because it's near the Self-Realization Fellowship Church. It's visible from the beach. Whoa. And that's actually on the can, the little church on the
that's awesome
in the background.
Thank you. I was like, I don't really understand this, but okay, so that's awesome.
So yeah, it's named after a real place.
How about that? I think they're sorry. I was just gonna just to tie on to the artwork, like the analog feel of it makes it really unique. I personally, like, I'm always a fan of really clean labels and labels that have like really like nifty patterns and are more like in that sort of digital art realm, more abstract. But the consistency and the craftsmanship in all of the artwork for Pizza Port is something to really be admired.
I think that's what I was trying to say. Like it comes off kind of cheesy if you just look at one can.
Dated, I think.
Yeah, and then when you look at the whole line, it's like, okay, this makes sense. There's there's commonality between all of these different labels, and that's what I think looks good.
It looks like somebody drew it with a pencil. Like I can imagine that there is somewhere a black and white version of the label that is the hand-drawn original label that some guy made. Right?
Sure.
Like it just totally looks like an artist sat with a pencil, and then they have the logo that they overlaid on it, and just like it's very clearly something that somebody drew.
Almost like a comic book art kind of feel without it being too comic-y.
Or like an old school like album cover kind of thing.
Back when like bands would commission an artist to actually, like, metal bands would get album covers painted. Like it's an actual painting that they like scanned and made into an album cover.
Yeah. So that's how I'll tie this. You just kind of brought that up. I'll just tie this together. So yesterday was the release of a Bright Eyes album. If anybody knows that, obviously I'm like, I'm like the emo kid of the group here. But anyway, it was like their first studio album in 9 years or something like that. And the artwork for the album is really, really cool. It's all these like floating figures. And so we were watching an interview about it, and it's like supposed to be this idea of like paper dolls kind of like flowing into like a black abyss, whatever you want to take from that. But the artist that they commissioned to do it is somebody they've worked with for all their album covers, but they hand cut out all these figures and like hung them in the way that they wanted, and then took a picture and like put it into a hand painted background. It's just the amount of craftsmanship that goes into things like that. Mm-hmm. I think I get that sort of feeling from these as well.
So the beer Joe and I have, we are drinking Beach Retreat. Like I said, this is a collab they did with Beechwood out of Long Beach. And I think it was the last episode or the episode before that. Like, when Beechwood and Pizza Port collab to make an IPA, it's got to be like the best IPA in the world, right? Right? Well, they decided to use Idaho 7 hops in this IPA that's supposed to be the best IPA in the world.
Are you not an Idaho 7 guy?
No. No, I don't think any of us are, except maybe Joe is, but
I don't think I know enough about Idaho 7.
Idaho 7 for us comes off as this, to be very simple about it, funky earth aroma. And basically it comes off a little like green and vegetal. It's not pleasing when used in mass quantities. Like if like I think it was Greg who joked about Noble Elworks making Idaho 7 showers, and he would just buy it for us to troll us because it would be the worst beer ever. Idaho 7 for me is really easy to pick out, and before even trying this beer for the first time, I didn't know what the hops were, and I smelled it, and I'm like, I don't know. This smells kind of weird. And there's Idaho 7. Yeah,
it's pretty vegetal on the finish of this too. It kind of just lingers on your tongue. I will say though, when I first drank this, it reminded me kind of instantly of I just had it recently. Beechwood does Citraholic. It kind of reminds me of that. I don't know if there's Citra in this, but
I don't think there is.
It does Citra, Strata, Idaho 7, and Mandarina.
Yeah.
Oh, does it say it?
It's on.
Wait, so
it's on the can. Yeah.
No, geez.
What's the name of the? Okay, yeah, Beach Retreat. I'm totally drinking the wrong beer. Might be. I didn't have that beer.
Yeah, you got permanent vacation, right?
Yeah, I actually had that beer like last week, but I think I drank them all. Let me look.
Beechwood has a commonality with their IPAs to me, and this to me, I know it's a collab. It tastes like a Beechwood beer to me.
See, I thought it tastes like a pizza port beer.
Really?
Like, yeah, I did a video on this beer, and I said this comes off like a pizza port beer that Beechwood had some influence on. That's funny you say that, but I can appreciate that point of view too, because like that just shows that it worked. Like you got the Beechwood part of it, I got the pizza port part of it, and yeah, that's interesting.
Me, I thought it was much more pizza port than Beechwood.
Maybe it's just because I drank Citraholic recently and I just have that in my brain. I don't know. There's something about this beer that reminds me of that, and I don't know if it's like that super grassy, earthy thing. I'm not sure.
Are you getting a bitter bite out of it? Because I think that might be the thing that makes me think pizza port. It's just that they tend to do more bittering.
I don't think this one's that bitter.
No, I didn't really get a big bitter bite. I thought it was pretty balanced, actually. It's very drinkable, especially for 7.2%, but it did not smack me over the head with bitterness at all. I thought it was pretty restrained.
It's pretty pithy though. Like it's got that zesty kind of citrus thing for me, at least this one.
I could see that. Yeah. As far as Idaho 7 beers go, this is the best one I've had so far, because it's a component of the beer. It's not like the showcase hop, and I think Idaho 7, well, if it went away, I wouldn't care. But if you're going to use it in a beer, use it as like a prop, or I don't know, to add an element to the beer. And I think the subtle, funky earthiness that this beer gets is more of like a dank green character. And I'm okay with that because it makes it interesting.
I think something that we've seen with a lot of our really high end, or like the consistently good IPA producers, is that they're able to blend multiple hops into a nice cohesive flavor, like a good flavor profile. Like, this is 4 different hops, Citra, Meridian, Motueka, or sorry, I'm looking at the other beer. But this beer is multiple hops, and being aware enough to use Idaho 7 as an element of the overall flavor and not too much of it or too little of it. Like, I really like seeing brewers use hops as like spice, basically a seasoning in a meal. And that's really why I think IPA as a category is so interesting and so popular, because there's just so many places you can go by just changing the hop profile.
And as a home brewer, like, it's when you sit down to write a recipe, you think you just sit down, you go, okay, I like this hop for this reason, and this hop for this reason. So I'm going to use them in these quantities to get what I think is the best beer possible, or for what I'm aiming for. And that's never been the case with me. Like, I shoot off the hip. I don't know these hops well enough to actually construct something that's like really, really good. And that's what makes a professional brewer, someone that knows like, okay, this is what I want. Like you said with the spices, Jason, it's like you're a chef, and I know what salt does to things. I know what pepper does to things. I know what I don't know, whatever spice it is does to
cardamom.
Yeah, like how it affects my
Paprika.
palate. But to use those in a way that makes something, you take those different spices to make a whole new thing. That's where the art comes in, and that's why I said Pizza Port and Beechwood collabing. It's got to be the best IPA ever, right? Because Julian makes really, really good IPA, and Pizza Port makes really, really good IPA, and it's not a bad IPA at all. It's a fantastic IPA, but it's
definitely not the best IPA ever.
Yeah, it's not the best IPA ever. Yeah,
I would drink Swami's ahead of this all day, every day.
I kind of was the same way, where I was like, my hopes were just too high. There's no way it could have lived up to my expectation, I think. But yeah, I came in, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be exactly my shit. And I was like, oh, it's good. It's a really solid Pizza Port IPA. But yeah,
that's basically what I thought of it too. I recommend buying it. Like, you should definitely check it out. But it's not the best.
It's still
tribute.
top. It's still a top tier IPA. Like everything,
it's really good.
Everything either of those breweries puts out, any hoppy beer you get from Beechwood or Pizza Port is going to be a world class IPA, like straight up.
Yeah, agreed. Speaking of IPA, let's drink some more IPA.
Jason, you said you opened permanent vacay?
I opened a permanent vacay.
Does everybody have permanent vacay?
Yes.
Is that
Yes.
the one common
that
beer
one, right?
we have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys have Kook?
I have kook.
I have Kook as well.
Oh,
Nice.
John, do you have kook?
Look
Yep.
at us go.
You are a kook.
My Pizza Port dream is for them to can grapefruit puncher. You guys, have you
Oh
had
man, that
beer?
beer was dope.
Oh,
Yeah.
so good. So good.
Dude, honestly, one of the big things, I haven't done it in a while, and it won't happen this year because 2020's fucking lost year. But San Clemente, you ever go to Hoptoberfest?
No.
They do a fresh hop IPA festival every October, and it's basically just like, they have like 70 beers on, and most of them are fresh hop. They're from a lot of stuff from all over California and San Diego, and just fresh hop IPA festival. It's
That's
super
awesome.
cool. Yeah, it's one of the coolest events. It's super chill. They just kind of close off their parking lot on the roof, and make it into like a little festival area. But yeah, it's awesome.
That sounds like something I would enjoy.
Strong Ale Fest is the other one they're known for, right?
Yeah, they have Strong Ale Fest, and then they have like a breast cancer, like a beer for boobies thing they do. Those are both out of Carlsbad. Yeah,
Man.
Strong Ale Fest is also a really cool festival.
I've always wanted to go to that, but I'm like, I'll die.
I know, same.
We went down, we got a hotel and went down there one year, and it was pouring ass rain, and the whole thing was outside on the patio. So literally all our memories are us like huddled under an umbrella. There's like nobody there. Like everyone's just like, fuck this. We're like, look, we paid our money. We're going to get our beer. And it's literally like all the photos are us like soaking wet, just literally out there getting rained on, drinking beer. It was fun.
John,
That does sound fun.
smelling this beer after the beer that we just smelled is so night and day. It's crazy.
Well, I just happen to have both right here. Let's see.
Like, this doesn't smell like a pizza. Well, at least my can doesn't.
It seems more. Well, I didn't.
It's a lot of very modern hops. So
Yeah.
Citra, Meridian, Motica, and Melon.
Yeah, we're drinking a
Interesting.
permanent vacay from Pizza Port. This
They
is
don't- Oh, sorry.
this is an IPA made with Citra, Motueka. That's it. Like,
That's
pretty
all the
basic.
can says. Did you say there's more than that, Jason?
Their website says Meridian and Melon.
Why
Huh.
would they do that? Huh? That's
Did
weird.
did they change it?
This is a new beer. I mean, was there room to change it?
Interesting. Yeah, this
Okay.
is this has a pretty nice kind of sweet aroma.
Yeah, I was gonna say it smells sweet. That's exactly
This one's
right.
apparently named after just beach lifestyle. It's not like
no joke. Just
a
get
lot
the
of them are
hell
just
out.
lands, like landmarks and stuff. This one's just like permanent vacays, living the beach way of life. Like, all right, cool.
This almost tastes like a hazy IPA to me, but it's not hazy.
Yeah, the bitterness on this is very low, as
Yeah.
far as I can tell. Like, this is actually a nice break.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
beers.
now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure I've actually had this.
This is, I think, my second 6-pack. Yeah, that I've had this.
Mine was canned 6/2/20, so pretty fresh.
Mine 7/24. So yeah.
Nope, I lied. I had some a couple weeks ago.
Oh, go figure.
So
but
it goes.
This is very much this is the new school of IPA that I love. That you get a lot. At least I've seen a lot on the West Coast at good IPA brewers, especially the Northwest. I felt like I got a lot of the hop bursted clear IPA. It's not a hazy, it's not unfiltered, it's still clear, it's still very dry, but the hop character is very not bitter, very just aroma and flavor of hops and not bitterness, and super good.
It really is kind of the best of both worlds when it comes to West Coast IPA and hazy IPA. Like, you get hazy IPAs like from Monkish that are West Coast inspired, but having a beer like this that is a West Coast IPA inspired by hazy, that's really cool. I think that's awesome. It's almost like a hop forward pale ale, but with the alcohol of an IPA. So
That's
that makes sense, right?
Yeah, completely. It's very smooth. The bitterness is so low that it's just like you could just this is like a pizza pairing beer for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's funny, Jason. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to comparing it to Beach Retreat. Like, I swear the only thing that messes Beach Retreat up is the Idaho 7. Like, it's got that funky earth thing.
We know you hate Idaho 7.
It's just how it is, dude. Like, I don't understand. I still don't understand how that hop is as popular and hype as it is, because it's garbage. So
I feel like it's like, all right, well, you don't get any of our Mosaic allocations unless you buy at least for every pound of Mosaic we give you, you have to buy at least half a pound of Idaho 7.
But John doesn't like pesto, so I don't trust him anymore.
That's actually a good point. That's a good point.
Tim, I think you're onto something on that.
Yeah, that could be. I don't know, but as a show, though, like, as far as between, Tim, how do you feel about Idaho 7? You're indifferent?
Yeah, I'd say I'm indifferent because honestly, like, it's been a little while before I have the Beach Retreat, but I didn't open it. So it's been a while since I have noticeably had something with Idaho 7.
Yeah.
So I would want to revisit it before I really like make a judgment. But as far I get what you're saying. Like, the times I've had it that I remember, like when you describe it as vegetal and earthy, like that is exactly what I get from it. And I'm not necessarily against that. So
neither am I. It's just that when a brewery uses it as the only hop, it's just way too overwhelming.
All right, so I'm gonna get you a smash with Idaho 7.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, if Noble did a Idaho 7 showers, like, I would definitely make a video on that, and I would dump it. I would do a drain pour with that beer because it's a bad beer. It's a bad hop. It's not Noble's fault. It's the hop's fault.
But yeah, I imagine it's just cheap and available. Like, that's exactly what Kyle said in the chat. But yeah, I just imagine it's probably
I don't buy that. Like, there's got to be. I want someone who actually likes this hop to explain what I'm missing. I just don't understand why so many breweries are using it. Like, why is it so hype? And I feel like I feel like I'm being gaslit with Idaho 7.
I would like to see like a pro's perspective on it, like a brewery that made an Idaho 7 beer. Like, why did you choose Idaho 7?
Yeah, like Pizza Port and Beechwood. Like, let's get him on the show. Ask him, what the hell, man? Like, why do you guys like this hop?
Let's call up Old Man Pizza Port and be like,
I'm gonna call Jillian right now. Here we go.
Hey, Joe Pizza.
Joe Pizza.
Joey Pizza.
But yeah, compared to Beach Retreat, this is like on the other side of the spectrum, I think. Way less bitter, more fruit forward, no funk, no like dank thing happening with it. It's very enjoyable. Very
if someone handed this to you and didn't tell you what it was, would you be able to say it was a Pizza Port beer? I don't think I'd be able to.
It doesn't have that Pizza Port vibe.
No.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. It's just different.
Yeah, which again, like with the Beach Retreat, I got that Pizza Port vibe. When I drink Swami's, I get that Pizza Port vibe, and this is something a little different.
It's really fruity. It's good.
Do we know when this started coming about?
I feel like this is a newer canning, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure they brewed it forever.
It looks like it is a seasonal for them. So they list it on their website as June to September. So it's like their summer seasonal IPA. But I think this is the first year they've done it. So it's super good.
So it's seasonal, but this is the first season.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. It's
like saying the first annual.
I was just going to say that.
The crazy thing about Pizza Port is you go in there and they always have so many different IPA on, and I just wish they would can all of them.
Yeah,
right. They're all so good.
They're so good.
Like one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to if we ever can go out again is just going to going to Carlsbad Pizza Port, sitting there, the beach one, just getting some pizza and some beer buddies. Oh man, be so good.
I know, man. It seems like that's something that's so far off. Like, seriously, like I think about that. Like, even like going to the movies. I don't want to get into like COVID talk, but like we go to the movies every weekend. That's our thing. We love going to the movies. I love getting popcorn and like watching a movie. That's the best thing ever. And I don't think I could ever do that. And going to a tasting room like Pizza Port, where it's just picnic tables and it's, you're a foot away from another person or less. Like that just seems so crazy now. It sucks.
If it goes under 100, I might go to the drive-in next weekend.
That would be We've been doing that pretty much at least a few times a month, and it's been very, very good for the soul.
Metallica is doing a live concert from their headquarters, basically where they record and rehearse and everything.
So I've started to.
That's going to be in drive-throughs. It's $115 a ticket. And
Jesus Christ!
Of course it is.
We were talking about that last weekend.
It's Metallica, so that makes sense.
But it's for. I mean, up to 6 people can use that one ticket, and 6 people per car. But I'm just like, can you just release it on the internet? Like, I don't want to have to get in my car to go somewhere. Like, I love Metallica. They're my favorite band of all time, and I would gladly pay you $50 to watch that in my home.
And you're going like to go watch a recording. You're not watching like Metallica's up on the stage. You're just in your car. It's
highly produced. They were just on Howard Stern, where they like it was fucking amazing. I don't mean to go off on Metallica, but like they did a live performance from their studio, and it sounded incredible. It was so good. Like, and so like as a preview to what you're getting, that's been pre-recorded and produced already, it's going to be amazing. Like Metallica still have it. Like it's awesome. But I don't want to pay $150 a ticket and go to a drive-through.
A lot of people. Have you seen a lot of like I've seen comics now are doing like drive-in shows, and then like Kevin Smith and Ralph Garman are doing like their Hollywood Babylon live in like a drive-in format.
But they're actually there.
Yeah, but they're actually there. It's not a recording.
Yeah, there are quite a few that are starting to do that. Like between bands and comics, like Rob Schneider and David Spade are doing a show up in Ventura at the fairgrounds at like a four-sided stage. And several bands have started doing those drive-in shows that I've seen. Like I don't know if you know Andrew McMahon, who was the lead from Something Corporate, did a lot of solo stuff. He did a show down in OC a few months back when things were kind of starting off. So it's interesting. If I found a band that I liked and I felt that the setup was safe, I would definitely do that too.
One interesting thing I saw was there's a woman in our running club, Mickler Running Club, IE, and she is into raves, and she went to a socially distanced rave, which when I saw it, I was just like, that does not make any sense. But it was, there was a DJ on the stage or whatever. I've never been to a rave, but it was distanced, and I wouldn't have gone because that's still too close to too many people. But raves typically are just like a tightly packed group of people that are just going off, and this was not that. It was like everyone gets to stay in their little square and enjoy the music and do whatever they want. And
that reminds me of like the quiet raves where you like go to a rave and you put headphones on.
And, like, they have at GABF where it's like the silent dance off or whatever it is.
Everybody's
It's just
dancing
bizarre
and
to
there's no
watch.
music. Yeah.
I've seen that in like comedy shows, and I just thought it was a bit.
No,
No,
I
it's
think
a thing, man.
It's a thing, yeah.
Where they're like, yeah, I'm DJing a silent party, and then like everyone's has headphones on, and they're dancing around. They look like assholes.
See, that's why you need to go to GABF, Jason, because you can actually witness that in person.
I'm gonna go to GABF this year so I can say I went, and then you guys can get off my fucking case.
Well,
Tim,
you can go this year because it's online. Next year is
exactly.
debatable.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it. Okay. Yeah.
I'll do the internet one, and then I'll be like, yeah, I went to GABF. It didn't seem like it was that great.
I just made the mistake of looking at untapped check-ins about Swamis, and now I'm upset.
Oh, great.
Why is
Oh
that?
no.
Because
no.
it gets a 3.8. Like, that's so low for that beer.
But you have to look at it from the fact that like the average rating of things is somewhere around 3.5 across the board.
Yeah.
My biggest issue is one guy checked in an entire 6-pack that he said was oxidized at like 1.5. I'm like, why are you checking this in? Don't even rate it. That's dumb.
It was a mistake. Like, why would you? Fuck.
I would say that there's a certain I'm not going to speak to any like of the behind the scenes, but there's
he's like stepping. Should I step here or here?
Dancing around.
Landmine.
I mean, there's a certain level of trying to weed out and weight things fairly against those, against the super highs. But you gotta there's a lot of number crunching that goes into trying to figure out
it's like
good
loggers.
way.
Loggers on Untapped are typically all very low.
Or sours, for example. Like people rate sours like crap just because they're like,
they don't like them.
It's a sour.
Well, it's like, dude, don't even rate it. Just check it in if you want to remember that you drank it.
I think what's missing from those beers is context. You have to rate. You can't compare a lager to an IPA. Say, oh, this IPA is amazing because it's full of fruit and all these flavors, but this lager is just boring in one note. Well, no, that's the wrong context. You have
one thing that's kind of. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, John.
That's it. Go ahead.
One thing that's kind of funny with the Untapped scale is I feel when you convert it to a 100-point scale, people are like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like you're like, oh yeah, this beer came up with a 77. Oh, 77, yeah, that's not bad. But then they see 3.6, they're like, that seems low. But
yeah,
it's the same thing, right? So I was doing I was just geeking out one day and really trying to avoid doing actual work at work. So I think I literally
remember this. Yeah,
took the entire beer list for Firestone Walker Invitational, and then I got all the ratings for every beer from Rate Beer, Beer Advocate, and Untapped. And then I normalized them and I averaged them out. And then it was like, yeah, you can sort the whole thing by which beer has the highest average rating from every site. And I was like, oh, when you put it onto the same scale, it actually, Untapped has a much bigger range of ratings than the other Rate Beer and Beer Advocate. Everything on Rate Beer, Beer Advocate's really high. It's over in the 80s and 90s.
Well, now Beer Advocate and Untapped are the same company, so.
And Rate Beer is owned by Budweiser.
How dare you?
They are. Joe Tucker's still a good guy, though. I like Joe.
I have checked in Swami's 22 times.
Nice.
That's got to be my highest check-in.
I've checked in 112. I'm actually on the thing. Look, if you look on the Untapped page.
You checked in Swami's 112 times?
Yeah, which is not really in line with how many times I've drank it. But look right there. There's me in the bottom right.
Hey, look at you.
Yeah, loyal drinker.
Congratulations.
I did it.
I have checked into it 0 times. So.
Same here, which is surprising.
I had to go hang out with Dave V.
I'm a bad Untapped guy. I'm a moderator and a supporter, and I don't use
Don't get me started. Don't get me started. You think you're a bad user.
I have a really weird OCD thing about numbers, so I stopped checking in beers that I'd already had because I wanted my check-ins and total beers to almost match.
Okay.
So I actually started going back and deleting check-ins of multiple beers to try and get it close. It's really strange. I don't know why I did that.
That's not strange. That makes I relate. That makes sense, dude.
At one point I wanted to have 5,000 check-ins, 5,000 separate beers, but it's not going to happen.
I only check in new stuff at this point. I don't go back and be like, hey, the beer I drank 100 times. No, those are 100. Let me see the last time I checked into it.
You and the who's the guy you said in Japan? Is that what it is?
No, that was
Sculpin, right?
Or Sculpin. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
The last time I've checked into Swami's is 2017.
Yeah, my last Swami's check-in was 2015. And it's 5 stars because I love that beer.
All right. Do we want to move on to Kook?
Yep.
Let me go grab mine.
Save the biggest one for last, eh? Is Kook like 10%?
It's like 8. Yeah, it's a double IPA. 8.5.
Oh, I thought it was more than that. Let's see here. July 8th. You guys have July 8th cans by chance?
No, I have 429.
Woo. You're hashtag Team Old IPA.
I'm June 24th, so it's still not too bad. I checked everything because I was at Total Wine, so I had to make sure it wasn't old as fuck.
Tim, it's not bad to be on Team Old IPA because Joe started Team Old IPA.
It's all good. I want to align myself with Joe here. Honestly, I didn't bother looking. This was oh shit, I have to go into a real store. Quick, grab everything I need and get the fuck out.
People get so mad at me. Fucking drink your beer fresh. I'm like, first of all, don't tell me how to drink my beer.
I mean, unless it is noticeably shitty, I don't care.
No. Well, I started doing that because guys like I was trading for like New England IPA, and like guys like Trillium were doing like super over the top hoppy stuff, and like I just like letting them sit for like a month before I drink them. And
well, isn't there such thing as being too green with fresh hop, John?
Yep. I think that's something that Joe and I both agree on.
Okay. I'm actually interested for you to drink that can of Trillium that I gave you, John, because I want to see what you think about that. Because you're talking about not being bitter and hoppy for like hazy beers. That one is next level.
I will do a video on every single one of those beers because like I said, I need that new content. So
yeah, drink that Trillium one soon.
We've touched on the show on the Too Fresh IPA. Like the El Segundo used to do that whole day one dankness thing. And yeah, those beers were always better after like a week. Like you could get them the day they were bottled and they were good, but they were like 10% better a week later. So like there is such thing as too fresh.
I will say West Coast IPA, I like really, really fresh. But New England style hazy, I like letting them sit. I don't know why. Don't know what it is.
Which is ironic because I feel like it should be the opposite.
Right.
That's what the man tells you. But
yeah, exactly.
Like when I first got my first shipment of Pliny for President cans, it was canned the day before I got it, and I was like, "This is amazing."
Yeah,
but I also have some that were a month old and they were still great.
I think with Russian River, they factor in that that aging aspect. Like you do need to age IPA to a certain extent, and I think they take that into consideration. So if you have a super fresh Russian River hoppy beer, just drink it. Like I wouldn't wait at all because it's Vinny. He knows what he's doing. Not that these other breweries don't know what they're doing, but I think they take that into consideration.
So kook is, I think it's a term for like a dude that dicks off on the waves, right? It's a surfer,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, like it's yeah, like the guy on the thing. It's like an asshole who kind of
an eccentric, strange, or crazy person. Yeah.
I think in surfing, it's specifically referring to like dudes that go out there fucking around.
It's a surfing beginner.
Is it?
There you go.
According to what does kook mean in Hawaii?
Yeah, a surfer who has an exaggerated interpretation of their skills. Basically, it's like, surfers have their own word for posers. That's what.
So if you look at the can, it's a dude riding a wave, being
it
cheered
looks like
on.
He has jean shorts on, doesn't he?
He has jorts on. Yes. And his butt, you can see his butt crack.
I mean, this can art is great.
He's not being cheered on. He's like splashing water at the other regular surfer who's just trying to surf. Who's like, "Hey, what the fuck?"
He's about to overlap the other guy, like just slide over the head of the other dude.
Sounds like kooks are just assholes on waves.
Yeah, they interfere with other surfers because they don't know anything about the ethics or right away, and they just kind of fuck up everyone's good time by being a dickhead.
So a kook is another word for noob, basically.
Yeah, or again, poser is what they said.
Well, I mean, what if I got into surfing and I didn't know the rules, and they could call me a kook?
You would know the rules.
I wouldn't be yeah.
If you got into surfing, John, you know the rules.
He'd be researching it before
you
you
know the rules, and so do I.
Putting a positive spin on it, the Kooks, the band, is a good thing. So check that out.
I was going to say, speaking of Kooks, have you guys seen the movie North Shore from like 85?
No.
Oh, man. You guys all have to watch that.
What's it about?
It's a surfing movie from 85, and this dude goes to Hawaii.
Okay.
And one of the I remember he gets there, and the Hawaiian dude's like, "Get out of here, kook."
Okay, so there is like some reference to it in a movie somewhere.
It's just one of those. It's just one of those classic like mid 80s like cheesy flicks.
Oh wow! From the cover, maybe I have to see it.
There you go. And that dude is Lewis from Teen Wolf. Remember Styles and Lewis? That's him.
Oh, Teen Wolf.
Also one of the greatest 80s movies of all time.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
But yeah, North Shore is on, I think it's on Amazon Prime right now. Go ahead and check that out. It just reminded me of that when we were talking about kook. Get out of here, kook.
Man.
I like your Hawaiian accent. That's good. It's as good as my British accent.
Dude, I was a big BJ Penn fan, so I've tried to talk like him for a while.
Good. If you want to know what I have to say, go to bjpenn.com.
Best post-fight interviews ever.
So, Kook Double IPA. This is a 8.5% ABV beer made with Chinook, Amarillo, El Dorado, CTZ or Columbus, and Huell Melon hops.
So that seems like a pretty classic lineup, except for the melon.
On the website, it says Chinook Dominant.
Yeah, that's what it says on Untappd also, yeah.
And I remember this beer...
throat rapey.
I remember this beer being very aggressive. I haven't had it in a little while. It's not my favorite.
This beer actually tastes pretty sweet to me too, Tim. Yeah. Like you said the last one was sweet. This one's pretty sweet too.
I think it's a different sweetness. The other one had more of like a light sort of fruity sweetness, and this definitely has more of like that like danky hop sort of sweetness going on. It's more serious. It's like, I want to say it's more serious, but I don't know what that necessarily means.
Why so serious?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm nervous.
This beer it's got alcohol sweetness is what it is. Mm-hmm. It's that perceived sweetness from high alcohol.
That's what I'm going for.
It's just boozy. It's a little syrupy and hot.
Which is crazy because it's only, I don't want to say only 8.5%, but it's not like
it's hot. It's hot for 8.5 for sure.
Well, when you I feel like saying that, I feel like anywhere between 6.5 to like 8.5 feels almost like normal for a while. I mean, recently like I've kicked down on the ABV, but there was a time at which like that was just your normal range.
I feel like what you're trying to say is 6.5% is sessionable, like in 2020 terms, where it's, that's basically IPA territory. That's like the middle of IPA alcohol level.
Yeah.
And now it's like, it's only 6.5%.
Well, I mean, not even necessarily 2020. I feel like there was a point at which when IPAs were all like getting into it and starting into IPAs and like really getting into IPAs, like it didn't seem like that big of a deal.
Right. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. For me on the nose, this has a dank character similar to Beach Retreat without the stinky, earthy vibe. Like I get a slight vegetal character, but it's more dank in a good way. Like you're smelling like that THC weed kind of thing on the nose, but it's very subtle. Not like earthy funk, crappy smelling.
I don't get a ton of aroma on this beer compared to the others. Mine's pretty mild in aroma. This feels like an endangered species kind of beer. Ooh. Like this kind of beer, I feel like used to be very common, and you don't get this really big, really bitter, really aggressive, hoppy double IPA. It's just not a beer that you see a lot anymore. I can see why. I like the beer, but comparatively of the 3 IPAs we've had today,
do you think it's that bitter? Like I mean, it's kind of subdued for me.
This beer is not bitter for me. This one's not.
No,
Swami's came across more bitter to me than this did, and maybe that was just because of the dry feeling that it left in your mouth, and it accentuated the bitterness.
You're right. There's more of that tannic character to Swami's that this beer doesn't have. Probably because again, you have that residual sugar, residual sweetness that kind of coats the palate. It's a little bit. This beer's a little bit syrupy, almost like sticky.
It's a little sticky. Yeah,
definitely.
I can feel it on my lips for sure.
I would almost feel like saying, and I feel I can basically tell myself that I'm wrong, but I feel like double IPA in this sense is almost like you said, like it's an endangered sort of thing, because I was gonna say double IPAs in general I don't see a lot of, but if I do, they're like double dry hopped hazy double IPAs, not just like a straight up double IPA.
Going off that, yeah, like I feel like double IPA these days is more of a hazy IPA kind of thing. Like when I think double IPA, I think of like high ABV hazies that as opposed to like something that is a West Coast IPA. That's interesting. Yeah.
And what's weird is the West Coast companies are going straight to like a triple IPA, right? Like the Ruined Again, or I see those quite a bit. The big like 10% IPAs, which is too much in my opinion.
Yeah, who's gonna buy, why buy a 6-pack of 10% triple? I like to. Oh no,
we're judging now. Is that what we're doing, John?
No, I'm just saying.
I still have in my fridge, when I went to El Segundo, I got a West Coast mixed crowler pack, and one of the crowlers was a 13.5% fucking IPA.
And I'm like, you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, Jason. Just get after it.
I'm just like, I gotta drink that. I gotta drink that beer when I don't have anything else planned. I'm just like, you know what? I just gotta have a really bad day at work, come home, dome that fucking can, and then be like, I'll see you tomorrow, hun.
Or I'll see you in 2 days.
It's like that Cat Williams thing. I got shit to do today.
That's like I look at that can every time I open my fridge. It's in my regular non-beer fridge.
Still there?
It's still there. And I drank one of them. I don't remember what I did because I drank it. So I drank it. So obviously I don't remember. It was a 13% IPA. But yeah, I opened my fridge and I'm like, but I want to hang out with my family today. I can't drink this.
That can's like the. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go you.
I was gonna say that can's like the furnace in Home Alone. Remember, he goes down to the basement and like looks at it and scares him every time, and he runs away. Like that's that can for you, Jason.
Oh shit! Now I'm getting challenged. He's like, oh, sounds like what a bitch would say.
Yeah, I found myself trending lower in the ABV and style more so. Obviously, I feel like IPAs in general, in that sort of 6 to 8% are still completely acceptable, but on like a normal thing, I seem to find like something a little more refreshing, a little more even keeled has been more of what I've aimed for.
For sure. It's funny when I first got into like IPA, I wanted like that crazy 9-10% beer, and I just got away from that.
Oh, I mean, it was cool. It was cool to be like, oh man, did you see the ABV on that bitch? Like,
right. Well, and like Stone, they're still putting out 22-ounce bombers of Ruin 10. I'm like, dude, like, why?
What
for what?
I mean, a 22-ounce bomber in the first place is difficult for a single person to finish.
I'll say this though, like, I'll take a 22-ounce bomber of that as opposed to a 6-pack. Like,
oh, sure.
Like the bottle is like, okay, once the bottle is done, it's done. But a 6-pack, like, you have one can, and it's like there's 5 more.
Yeah. And this is why I buy singles.
Yeah, it's too much for a 6-pack format. I don't know what they're thinking. Like it's a 10.5% 6-pack. It's too much.
Like I remember when I moved down here, like I'd go to Stone and get a 64-ounce growler of Ruination or Ruin 10, and I'm like, why am I drinking 64 ounces of 11% beer?
Because that's the format it was available in.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, I had to have a talk with myself.
The 64-ounce growler was just the worst format. Like,
it's like, why did they do
you
that?
have to drink it in one sitting. So it's like
it'll last a little while,
like day,
a couple days, sure.
And that second day growler is not ideal. If you drink like half of it the first day, it's like, oh no, it's so much worse now.
Tim, just admit it. It's not great the second.
No, I sure it's not ideal, but I will say, like, to your point, like I think that's 100% why crowlers are so popular, because a crowler you're looking at maybe 2 2 full pints of
The Crowler's
exactly.
What? The Crowler's
A pint
32
for me,
ounces.
pint for somebody else, and that is a perfect serving.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember getting growlers of high kicks from Alpine. I'm like, this is 9.5%. Like, what are we doing?
Damn,
But
that's a reference. Wow.
It was delicious.
High
though.
kicks from Alpine.
Remember
Jesus
that beer?
Christ.
I don't actually.
Ooh, that beer was so good.
High kicks? I don't remember that one. I'm trying to picture what the bottle would look like. Or is it a draft only beer?
They might have packaged it once. I don't know.
No.
Oh, this is the Green Flash branding, so I don't know.
They never packaged
I
high
found
kicks,
it. It was packaged in the they have a photo of the bottle, but it's the new Green Flash branding.
Can you show it, Jason?
Yeah.
It was just one of those things. Like I used to be into really high ABV IPA for whatever reason.
I think.
Oh yeah, that's lame.
Well, to your point though, everyone was into that. It was
No.
everyone was into how hot, how high, how hoppy, how IBU.
Right.
Like there was the was it Magic Hat? I think they did like 100 IBU beer, and that was
Oh
like,
God, remember that?
hype.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, I know that because we like there was some tie-ins with that, but yeah, like I remember they had this whole thing, and like how high can your IBU be? How high can your ABV be? And it's just at this
I feel
point,
like it was very much
old. It's old. Now.
It was the tail end of that 2000s extreme culture, right?
Sure.
Like that was a very big 2000s thing. It was just how extreme can you be? And they're like, yeah we made a beer. Like there's more than one beer I could think of called 1,000 IBU.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it was at a point where saturation of breweries. I mean, they're still growing, but there was a certain point at which like you reached the top. Like it was literally like a town that I grew up in where I would never ever expect a brewery suddenly had like 2 or 3, and it was mind blowing. And so you get to this point, and you're like, okay, so now every town has like 5 breweries. What are we gonna do? And I think we hit that, and then we passed it, and now we're kind of like, granted, I don't want to see breweries, fail. I don't wish failure on anyone, but we're seeing kind of the COVID aside, like before that, like you were kind of seeing a leveling off and people trying to actually go back to quality more than hype.
Yeah.
Well, most people.
Like I remember buying 22-ounce bombers of when Knee Deep was doing Hop Deranged. It was like a 14% IPA.
yeah.
Like, remember that beer, Jason? There was that. They did like Simtra and they did Hopperillo and all those beers that were just like
Knee Deep had a run for a minute, and I feel like they kind of like I don't know.
Great back in the day.
Yeah, like I don't know. Well, the dude.
Why
left,
have we
right?
abandoned Knee Deep? Like why?
It was
left.
Jeremy Warren was his name. Yeah. And he left. He moved over to Revision.
He left, and then my buddy Zach was the brewer there,
right.
and then he went to Moonraker, and then he's doing Slice now.
Oh, Moonraker. That was a pretty solid brand for a while.
Moonraker was awesome, and then the guy left there, and so now he's at Slice, and Slice beer is amazing.
Oh, remember? Okay, so I had to Google to remember what Knee Deep did, and I remember Breaking Bud. Didn't they get shit for that?
They got
Yeah.
sued for that.
Yeah.
Did they really? I didn't know that. That's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty blatant. Like,
Sure.
They copied like the whole
Logo, everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel like there was a time 5 years ago or so when Knee Deep and Kern were like super, super big. They did that collab that was super good. I think we did it on the show. It's called River something.
I had a friend who lived up the street from me a little while back, and we would go and we had like the driveway beer club where we'd like a bunch of people from the neighborhood would hang out in his driveway, and we'd all do like bottle shares. And he'd drive like halfway up the state to meet with someone to do like a trade for Kern River. And I didn't quite get it, but there are certain people who just like they were super hot.
Back then, that was.
Remember Kern used to do the Citra Double IPA, John? That was like a lottery only thing, and you could go and get like 3 bottles of it or whatever it was.
I went up for the lottery 2 or 3 different times. It's a cool little town, Kernville, middle of nowhere, but it's like a little. If you're into outdoor stuff, it's a super cool town. There's a river there. You can do like whitewater rafting and all that stuff. And
what's
then,
the name of the river?
The Kern River. Right. And then I'd like to go back because when I went, it was super, super drought times, and Lake Isabella was like crazy dry. It was like you could see a dude's lake house that was on the shore of the lake, and then a half a mile from it was the water. Because it was just the lake was so low. And I really I feel like there's more water in there now. It'd probably be a lot cooler to go there now. I haven't been back. If anyone could tell me what Lake Isabella looks like right now, I'd appreciate it.
You kind of mentioned like a lot of those Northern California breweries that are out in kind of like naturey areas. Like those are always really nice. I think Anderson Valley, or I went to Bear Republic in Heddlesburg, not the brewery, but like their restaurant and pub. And it's so nice. It's so different than being in a brewery in fucking like, an industrial complex in LA. Like I miss that.
That's true. I remember when we took our trip to Boston, like I went to Trillium and Treehouse, and I'm like, this is so different than San Diego breweries, just because they're out in the middle of nowhere. Like you're at a barn. I'm like, this is so rad with a koi pond. I'm like, this doesn't happen in San Diego. That's kind of like why I like going to koi pond.
After waiting in line for 4 hours.
Yeah,
that's one of the big reasons that Jester King is one of my favorite breweries. It is what you imagine in your head when you picture farmhouse brewery. Like it's on a big plot of land. It's a bunch of open space. It's just this building in the middle of nowhere. It's like you literally drive up a dirt road into a dirt parking lot. And it's just like, yeah, that's what I picture when I think farmhouse brewery. It's a cool location. It's a cool place to be.
Yeah.
I've heard the best stories about Jester King. Like I have to go there someday.
Where are they at again? Are they in Austin?
Yeah, right in the outskirts of Austin. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna try to wrap this up.
I decided to cuvee all my Pizza Port beers, and I'm not mad at it.
So go for it. Okay,
I've got 3 cans open. It's tempting.
Yeah, I had 4 of them, and I just poured a little bit each, and like it's really, really good.
Now, if only it tasted like their pizza. Shit, does anybody know? Have they ever done a pizza like flavored beer,
like the Mamma Mia pizza beer?
I don't know.
I feel like they don't do dumb gimmick shit like that.
Yeah, and that's probably for the best. Yeah,
some asshole has done it though, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Pizza Port. I mean, today we've had pretty much just all IPA from Pizza Port, which is what they're known for. But they do other things too that they package, like bacon and eggs, Shark Bite Red Ale, Pick 6 Pills, which was I think one of the higher winners on our Pilsner Showdown back in the day. California Honey, which I know, Joe, you're not going to buy that beer because it has honey in it. But as far as like a honey beer is concerned, I think it's one of the best out there because you can actually taste the honey in the beer. They do a lot of different beers that are just, they're not just IPA. So, if you're lucky enough to get Pizza Port in your local market, I don't know where they distribute. Like, are they big outside of California?
I don't know about outside of California, but you can definitely find them in a lot of different levels of places. Like my local, like super trendy everything bottle shop will have it, but also like the grocery store. So it's widely available, at least here in Central and Southern California for sure.
I mean, it goes without saying, like, if you see Pizza Port on the shelf and you want something that's different and you haven't had it before, and that's guaranteed to be good, like, it's a go-to brewery. Like, their quality level is just awesome.
They've been doing it long enough at this point to know what they're doing and to provide a high quality product, and I'd say at a really good price point. So it's for sure something to pick up.
If you're anywhere near between South Orange County and San Diego near the coast, there's 5 or 6 Pizza Port locations. They're all awesome. And they're great food. They have tons of beer. Each pub brews their own beer on site that is not necessarily the other beer. It was a rude awakening for me because I loved the beer from like Carlsbad. Then I went to another one. They're like, no, they make that at Carlsbad. Like, we're a different brewery. We do our own beer here. But they're awesome.
They've won over 91 medals at GABF. Like, and when they submit beers, they submit the beers from the different brew pubs because, like you said, Jason, they have different brewers at those brew pubs, and they are a legendary brewery, like, for sure.
I tell people that too. Oh, go ahead.
they're like what BJ's promises or used to be, where each place is a brewery. Like each Pizza Port is its own brewery, and they have a couple core beers that they distribute and are everywhere. But you go to each of the pubs, and they have 20 beers that they make at the pubs, and they're super awesome. Oh. So if you're just getting their distro beer, it is world-class beer. But the beer at the pubs is even better. And they're also in great places in great cities that are near great beaches. So just go.
Yeah. People always say, like, they'll hit me up and be like, hey, I'm going to take a vacation to San Diego. What should I do? I'm like, take one day out and just sit at Pizza Port for 8 hours. Cause you like, there's nothing like going to Pizza Port and be like, I'm going to drink everything today.
And eat good pizza.
Yeah, it's so fun. And the beer is so good. And the vibe is just rad. It's just, it's such a cool place to go to.
Getting a hotel walking distance from Pizza Port Carlsbad was like one of the funnest weekends I had.
Yeah. It's great.
It's a 5-minute walk from the beach.
All right. I think that's a good spot to end. If you guys want to stop the recording.
I'm desperate for pizza right now. You asshole.
Dude, same. I'm about to be like, let's go get some Mountain Mike's or some shit.
I actually, you know what I miss? I miss that goddamn pizza that you get, John, that we used
to
Mountain
Mike's.
Mountain Mike's,
yeah, Mountain Mike's. It's super good. There's one in Rancho, but we got to drive to get it. It's not
They don't deliver.
It's too far.
You're in Fontana. That's too far. Yeah.
It wasn't the best pizza I've ever had, but it was so damn good. And I'm like,
it has the little the pepperonis that curl up when you cook them. Those are the good ones.
You get the extra grease inside of them.
Yeah, they turn into little pepperoni cups. Those are so good.
Jason, what's the thing again? Export as wave?
I
forget every time.
Export as wave. Yeah, and then you can just leave it default. It'll be fine.
16-bit, right?
Yeah.
Is that right? Oops. This cuvee is not bad at all.
08. And if you guys want to name your files, and you don't have to, but
I just put my name with the date. Is that okay?
I just do the name, your name dash, and then today's the 22nd, so 8/22. That's how I name everything. You don't have to do that. I rename everything on my end, so
you're gonna have to do it.
It's fine.
Dude,
pizza.
Good friend Zach chiming in about our trip. Me and Zach took a trip up to Kern one time, and just him and I were just drinking a bunch of beers and being fucking stupid as hell. And we had a whole thing about how there was we were these weird little kitschy hotels. Everything was made of varnished wood. And then in the top of the room, there's a circle, yay big. And it was what is that for? And I think it's for an old wood stove, a wood furnace that you put in the middle of the room because it's an old building. But we're just yeah, that's the secret stash of Wales is up there. That's where all the good beers up there.
Wales.
All the whales are up there, man.
You know what's funny is the first time I ever had Kern Citra was in Mexico, which was amazing.
Weird. How'd you get in Mexico?
Because we got the beer and then we were going to Mexico for Thanksgiving and we just packed a bunch of stuff. And
I've never been to Mexico.
You've never
pretty cool.
You've never been to Mexico?
Nah, I've never been out of America.
What?
America.
I barely left California before 5 years ago.
Oh shit.
I'm supposed to go to Japan. I think I told you that, and for Thanksgiving this year to see my sister, and I don't think it's going to happen.
What?
Japan's probably got their shit together, but
no, Japan is super locked down right now again because they just had another spike in cases.
Oh, really?
And they're just like, I don't give a shit. Let's see here, Google Doc.
We were actually planning on going to Japan this year too. That got scrapped all to hell, along with all the travel we've ever done.
Did I ask you, have you been there before?
No, it's on our list.
Bro, it's so awesome.
I can only imagine. I've seen I have a lot of friends from high school who were hard in the anime culture, and several of them went to Japan and were just oh my god, I love it. And I'm I'm excited to go and just experience a bunch of different things over there.
There's just so many rad things to see. I'm not an anime guy, but they still have arcades and stuff over there, which my kids love.
Yeah.
That country is amazing.
Yeah, we went more the European route when we were traveling last year, so we haven't made it that direction yet. But it's on our list.
I mean, I can't recommend going to that place more. Like it's the best.
Yeah, it's fucking, and it sucks too because we had lots of plans this year to get to a bunch of different places.
I'm going to Sequoia in October.
That's actually on our list too.
I've never been, yeah. So hopefully it doesn't burn down. But yeah, I'm going to Sequoia. It's like going to be the only trip we really take this whole fucking year. We rented a lodge up there. I bought a camera that I'll figure out how to fucking use and be like, look at this very artistic picture of a tree.
Yeah, we're at a point like, so last year it was like nonstop, like every couple weeks we were heading somewhere, and obviously that came to a grinding halt. So I'm just like, we're trying to figure out, okay, once the R0 in California gets down to a certain point, where do we feel comfortable going? And so we may try like a little staycation to see how we feel comfort wise in LA, and then move out from there.
Yeah, our thought is like, we have a lodge. We aren't going to see people. We don't try to see people.
Mm-hmm.
And we can just go out into the wilderness and be far from people and fuck off.
Naked and afraid.
Hopefully in October, it'll be pretty chill. It won't be super busy.
Also not hot as balls.
Yeah, it's
it's so hot right now. I fucking hate it.
Yep.
Dude. Yeah.
I can't complain. Like, I feel bad ever saying anything about hot with Jason and John. I don't know about you, Joe, how close you are to the ocean, but like,
we're about 7 miles from the ocean, but where we're at, it was 98 today.
That's about the same as here, actually.
I'm over it. I'm fucking
it was 96 in Moville today.
We drove from LA to Thousand Oaks and back. And like going through the valley where like Topanga and all that stuff is, it's just like I watched it slowly creep from like 98 to like 105 and then back down. When we got to Santa Monica, I was like, fuck this.
Yeah, no, when I drove to your place last weekend, Tim, even in Silver Lake, it was like almost 100.
Yeah.
And then I crossed town over to your place and it was like down to like 80.
Yeah. I mean, admittedly, for me, anything above like 65 is hot. Seriously.
I think you're in the wrong state.
That's why I loved Iceland, dude. It was so
I
good.
am definitely in the wrong state. Like, I love California as a state, like for what it is, but it's too damn hot. Like,
but it's only where you guys are at, it's hot longer. But here it's only hot a month out of the year.
Joe, if a house comes up for sale in your neighborhood, let me know, because
there was a house 3 doors down from me that was for sale forever, and I texted everyone, like, does anybody want to buy this house? And they're like,
how much was it?
I don't know what it was listed at, but
Jesus,
everyone responded like, I would get divorced because I'd be at your house drinking all the time. I'm like, hey, listen, I got couches, it's fine.